So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first pharmaceutical webinar at Avery Dennison for this year for brand owners. Thank you for your interest in these challenging times when all industries need to review their strategies and also adapt to different ways of work. So, we plan to do several webinars, starting today with a general overview of the packaging labeling industry and information about what are the pharmaceutical labeling materials. Also, in the course of 2020, we will continue with dedicated topics like adhesives, different applications like security, small diameters labeling, sustainability, or intelligent labeling. Now, today, your speaker will be Benoit Jord. Benoit is a senior business development manager for pharmaceutical and healthcare segments at Avery Dennison, part of the marketing organization. My name is Eva Wenglinska, and I will be your moderator. Also handling the questions in the chat box. Now, please ask questions in the field that you can see once you scroll down below the main screen. We will be also asking some questions via the poll options. I always encourage you to answer them. You will be also able to see results. The chat box on your right will be disabled. But please keep in mind that the questions you ask are public and visible to the entire audience. Now, we apologize for not using cameras, but we continue to work from home, and as we want to keep the internet connection stable, we will not be using cameras today. The webinar will be recorded, and you will receive the slide deck today and the recording within the next 48 hours. Also, for the sake of time, if we will not be able to answer all of the questions, we will get back to you offline. The questions will be also part of the recording. Now, moving to the agenda, the overarching topic of today, and also our why, is patient safety. How the right label materials can deliver on those needs. Because medications are not only about the medicine itself, but also about the packaging. That has to be also safe and reliable, wherever we talk about performance and compliance. We will also discuss why would you choose to use a dedicated pharmaceutical materials and what are the advantage of them. We will talk about the challenges that are arising for packaging and labeling materials and how to fulfill them, the patient safety promise and also the regulatory compliance. Now, last but not least, we will talk about the increasing popularity of RFID in packaging and what benefits it can bring for the pharmaceutical industry. Now, without further ado, Benoit, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Eva. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for your interest. So before going to the topic of the day, I will just make a short introduction about Avery Dennison. So the company, it's an American-based company founded back in 1935 by Stan Avery. He has invented at that time the first self-adhesive material. Today, the corporation is divided in three main divisions. Eva and I are part of the first one, the largest one, that is named Label and Graphics Materials. Here, we produce label and packaging materials, but also some other solutions like graphics. Think about all the car on the road with a fancy color. It's not paint, it's with wrapping, with self-adhesive. Same for the reflective, all the road signs that you see every day on the road. Second division is retail branding and information solutions. Here is again about labels, tickets, tags, but typically not self-adhesive that you will find in the retail apparel. That division is of interest still for today because this is where 20 years ago was born the RFID technology, radio frequency identification, that now with a certain level of maturity is going to the industry, including pharma. And we will be discussing about it later on. To finish, we are also involved in machinery, printers, specifically printing solutions that can encode RFID tags. And the last division is around industrial and healthcare materials. Once more, we speak about self-adhesive materials that are for the automotive industry, aerospace, or the electronics. We have also some fastener solutions for the automotive, but more interesting, medical solutions, self-adhesive material for direct skin contact. And to give further illustration of what we are doing beside the label materials that will be the topic of the day, here you have a few examples of applications. First one, optical tapes. So basically to protect optical
Benoit,
lanes.
I'm
Yes?
sorry to interrupt you. We have a few comments from the audience that seems that there is no sound.
No sound.
However, I see from the colleagues that they can hear you. So
Okay, so I presume might be more link to the audio of each individuals, because if some
yes,
colleagues.
for people who cannot hear us, maybe you can please try to rejoin.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Eva. So now an interesting application named ostomy. So ostomy refers to the operation in which an artificial opening, a stoma, is created to enable elimination of a body discharge. Basically, our medical tapes are here to have a good adhesion to prevent leakage. We are also in the diaper industry, not so much for kids, but more for adults, with reclosure labels that allow an easy opening and closure. Wound care, once more here we have a unique type of adhesive named hydrocolloid. The advantage is that they can manage properly the moisture management while they still allow an easy and no painful removal. Wearables, a nice mix of our competency in RFID plus our know-how in terms of medical tapes. And we will have the opportunity to discuss further about it later on. To finish, something that has nothing to do with self-adhesive material, insulation packaging. We are also manufacturing vacuum insulation panels that are used to build insulation packaging used for the transportation of the medicine, specifically all the biologics. So now we're going to focus on labels, but perhaps before, Eva, do we have some questions?
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on. A few things about to finish on Avery Dennison. As I was explaining, we have scale, global scale, but with regional execution. So even if we are on all continents, in terms of manufacturing, we are manufacturing locally to serve our customers locally. And in Europe, we have up to 6 plants that we are using to also produce pharmaceutical material. And those plants are using some of the big Avery Dennison blockbuster. S692NP is an example. It's a global spec that we are producing in all continents locally. As we said, we are recognized as industry leader because we have invented this industry, and we are still focusing a lot on R&D and innovation for answering market need, but also trying to anticipate. And the focus, as we said, is around material science for pressure sensitive solutions and what we call smart labels, RFID labels. We are also obviously investing a lot in technology to be able to process. Our industry, it's about high speed coating. And as a matter of fact, you need a specific machinery to allow running machines at up to thousands meters per minute. Let's now align on the definition of a pressure-sensitive adhesive label construction. So it's a laminate, it's a sandwich, where we combine a face stock that the converter will be printing on, the adhesive, with a release agent associated with a release liner. So the release liner is a must for processing during the entire value chain, including at dispensing at the brand owner. And this release agent is just here to allow the separation between the face and the liner. So now, where the Dennison sits in that ecosystem? As I was explaining, we are sourcing face material, liner material, chemicals, and then we are formulating our adhesive. This is unique to Avery Dennison in this ecosystem. We don't rely on third party to formulate. We are formulating ourselves. But then we bring together the top coat, the face, the adhesive, the liner, and we make a big jumbo reels that will be slitted in smaller cheese, and those cheese will be shipped sold to our customers, the label converters, that are going to print, die cut, that are going to add value, either it's embellishment or more functionalities. And those converted labels will be then ending up at the end user, so the big pharma like you guys, but also your contract manufacturer for dispensing application. And finally, you have the consumer, but here we speak more about the patient, that will enjoy the fit for purpose so that he can read, but also that he has a functional label that does more than just carrying some information. Eva, any questions?
Benoit, yes, we do have a questions from the audience. Can you produce a pharma product in more than one plant? Yes, we are producing them in multiple plants, typically at least 2 plants per product. It's also part of our risk management processes. So in case if we do not actively produce the construction for economic reason in the other plant, there is a plant that is qualified to do so also in the case of an unexpected event. Back to you,
Okay.
Benoit.
Thanks, Eva. So now let's speak about the industry, and specifically the pharmaceutical packaging industry. Before speaking numbers, just want you to remind you that in Europe, the European community of label material suppliers like Avery Dennison, label converters, machine manufacturers, ink suppliers are all linked, regrouped within the FINAT association, where you can also get information about the market. So speaking numbers, if we zoom again, Europe with 2019 numbers, looking at pharma packaging, it's worth 22 billion euro. That is roughly 20% of the entire packaging sold in Europe. So we speak big number. And the growth of that pharma packaging market year on year is pretty high. We speak about 7.7%, much higher than the one of the entire packaging that is only 2%. As you know, this growth is linked to the overall increase in spending for healthcare that in Europe is driven by increased demand for the medicine due first to the aging population and second to the continuous rise of what we call the non-communicable disease like cancers, diabetes and others. So all of that are also requiring new therapies like the biologics that also comes with higher cost. So in conclusion, the overall spending on healthcare accounts to almost 9% of the European GDP. And with the current situation, with the COVID-19 pandemic, we are all expecting that the increase in spending will keep increasing pretty fast. Give you a few numbers recently. If you look at France, France put on the table extra 8 billion euro in the national health system during the last weeks. Same for Spain with something like 4 billions and Italy with a bit more than 3 billions. So this will also obviously an impact on packaging and on labels. Speaking about labels, if we speak numbers, 400 million square meter is the size of the pressure sensitive label for pharma. This is 5% of the total European pressure sensitive label market. And this market is growing much faster. You know, the year-on-year growth is expected to be around 10% for pharma, while it's only 3% for the rest of the pressure sensitive market. So no surprise, it's a dynamic industry, including the packaging and the labels. To finish on numbers, what is interesting when you look at pharma packaging, if you look at decoration technology, pressure sensitive has been adopted from the early days by the pharma industry. And we speak about a penetration of more than 80%. The other alternative solution might be sleeve, might be dye printing. So pressure sensitive, thanks to this versatility, has been strongly adopted over years by the pharma industry. Now moving to packaging trends. I guess those are the usual suspects that you can expect. First one, what's happening around the e-pharmacy and therapy adherence. we see more and more consumer equipped with smartphone, with internet, and again, including aging population. Therefore, they are used to shop online. It will be the same for the medicine. We have also an increased demand for patient convenience, a rise in auto-injectors that are helping patients to inject themselves at home. And those auto-injectors are getting now interactive. They can speak, communicate with the patient, thanks to the RFID technology embedded. So we see also here RFID coming up. Speak about e-leaflet. You can do that with a QR code, but you can also do that with NFC. And a patient for clinical trials on the blister, you have a smart labels, and with the phone, you can interact and get more information on the therapy adherence. So we will be speaking once more later on about the RFID, but now it's time for it. Second point that has been around forever, brand protection and anti-counterfeiting. Just, year on year, the industry is losing $200 billion because of counterfeit. So that's why some legislation came, specifically serialization on secondary packaging. Last one in Europe was last year with the FMD, but more is coming. We see requests now to have serialization at the unit level on each single SKU. And this can now be enabled thanks to the low-cost RFID technology. Sustainability. Before being a patient, we are all a consumer. As such, we are paying more and more attention to the nature of the packaging when we buy FMCG products. We can expect we will have the same expectation when we are buying a pharma product. So we see a few big pharma out there putting some strong statement, like Takeda, Novo Nordisk. They say that they will be becoming carbon neutral by 2040. And AstraZeneca goes one step even further and commits to become carbon negative by 2030. Labels and packaging can also contribute to the equation, right? You can think about thinner material. You can think about material using recycled content for the face. And the liner that is a waste for you, we can also help you to recycle it and to close the loop. Moving to inventory management. So this one will be once more certainly linked to RFID. There is a need for better transparency in the supply chain, specifically in those time of pandemics. You need to manage better your stock. Labor and operation efficiency, like any industry, pharma has to be more efficient. And labeling speed is also increasing. We speak now about speed much higher than 500 bottles per minute. Label material has also to contribute to that. Global compliance, more and more regulations. Think about the last one that was due for this month. The medical device regulation has been postponed to next year because of the COVID-19 situation. But this MDR regulation will also have some impact on packaging and therefore on labels. Eva, before moving forward, any questions?
Question. How many true standard global material adhesives does Avery have in the pharma portfolio, specifically in the USA and Europe? And is there a drive to continue standardizing across continents? So currently we have two adhesives, 692NP and S717P, that are suitable specifically for small mandrel and also low migration. We produce them at locally in different regions, but all our products, they can also be purchased globally.
Okay, thanks, Eva. Moving to the topic, let's say, of the pandemic, I cannot avoid obviously having a slide on it, the impact of COVID-19. You have short-term and long-term impact, right? So short-term, obviously, everybody is focusing to find treatments and vaccine. Aside, to enable this research, you have investment from the industry and from the government. So here, something positive, the government certainly will commit in terms of volume buying, but on the negative side, they will certainly push back and ask to control price. Anyhow, we need to move fast. So therefore, we can expect streamline on regulatory approvals. And also something around the supply chain, building stock. We were taken to some extent by surprise here in Europe. Stock went down extremely fast. There is a need to prevent this from happening again, even if it will be a bit tough. Aside, focus on one side, but the disadvantage is that some part of the pharma industry will get late, meaning you see some clinical trials disruption that will slow down the launch of new molecules. And again, some market like implants are not today as a priority, and those markets will slow down. So if we think about long term, obviously something will change. We see in Europe a lot of countries asking for reaching a certain level of sovereignty in terms of healthcare. This will come obviously with some actions. The first one is to bring back home some of the manufacturing, starting with API. Today, 80% of the API are import for Europe, import from Asia, China, and India. So there is a need to be less dependent from Far East. And obviously, everybody will start to understand that a good medicine comes with some cost. And overall, we have to accept this. Eva, any questions before we move to the product challenge?
No, Benoit, for now we have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So with now new drugs development, think once more about the biologics and increase legislation and regulations. There is a clear need for having labeling materials that can meet your pharmaceutical packaging needs today and tomorrow. So when we speak about pharmaceutical label requirements, there is a few things that are unique to that industry. To start with, the diameter of the container is typically small containers, small diameters, down to 0.7 millimeter. So obviously, this puts a stretch for the combination face and adhesive to prevent edge lift. But that's not all. The label has to survive different type of temperature. It can be extremely low, like cryogeny, down to minus 200 degrees C. Can be pretty high for steam sterilization, so 125 degree and more. You have also some chemical treatment. Think about histology laboratory. They are using aggressive solvent like xylene. You need the label stock to survive that. Sterilization, once more, is not only about steam, it's about also gas with ETO. It's also about radiation, radiation with X-ray, but with electron beam. This will have some impact on the material. You need to make sure that the combination adhesive phase can resist, can cope with that. Aside, for specific pharma application, you have other need like centrifugation in the blood bag that also put some extra stress on the material. And finally, as we said, labeling speed. We speak about small labels, high speed. Also, there is a need to properly monitor the release and the ability to dispense. So now, when you start a new application, you need to ask yourself three key questions. The nature of my primary packaging. What type of packaging do I have? Is it a polar, apolar? If it's glass, polar, pretty easy. If it's a polymer, and again in syringe today, with the rise of biologics, we see more and more polymer syringe coming up with the challenge of low surface adhesion. Therefore, you need to adapt also your adhesive for it. Application temperature. At what temperature do you dispense? Coming back to cryo, for instance, most of the sampling is done in the lab at room temperature. Okay, but then the service temperature will be the temperature once the label has been applied for the lifetime. And here, once more for cryo, you are minus 200 degrees C. So you need to understand those three types of characteristics to find the right product for the purpose. We'll give you further illustrations of what we see out there in the market. So we said pre-filled syringes down to 0.7 millimeter, glass polymer. We have also a lot of booklet labels. clearly, this is the savoir-faire, the expertise from the converter, but we are contributing by helping them with the right material to prevent edge lift. So you need to manage the stiffness of your label material. We speak about thin type of film. To continue on cold temperature, we spoke about cryo, fair. But also you have a cryo application where the label need to be applied below 0 degrees C. No? And you have more and more applications, clinical trials, vaccine, where the label has to be applied down to -50. As you can imagine, you need to have specific material for that purpose. The same for the blood bags. They need to survive multiple cycle freeze thaw, where you have thermal shock. You need the label material to cope with that. Another one, I guess we all enjoy the easy squeezability of plastic bottles for ice drop. But as soon as you speak plastic, when you have a liquid as a drug, the risk is migration. So in such, I will say, easy, when you look at it application, you have to be extremely careful to select the right material. To finish, tamper evidence, everybody has been working on it for the last 2 years with the FMD. The same, you need to have the right material to ensure either fiber tear of the box or to leave a visible sign, and you cannot do that with all type of material available in the market. Eva, do we have any questions?
Yes, we have a question. What is most common to have, paper or film for a smile vial for pharma applications? So here I would say that more popular would be a filmic label, since it has a better performance on small diameter because it's more flexible than paper, but also it allows to have the so-called no label look, so the clear on clear. So then it's also everything that it's inside of the container is visible. Benoit, anything to add here?
No, I think you're right. Over time, everything was starting with paper. We have seen a migration to films because of better overall durability. And as you said, the overall stiffness for small diameter is less. So basically, you have a more robust solution. And don't forget also that a film can bring you transparency. For some application, it's a must.
Okay.
So coming now to the question of the day. Why choosing dedicated pharmaceutical labeling materials? So, as I said in the introduction, pressure sensitive has been adapted at the early stage by the pharma industry. And meaning that at the early stage, we were having what we call general purpose standard material. But those standard materials also found their way in some other industry, like food, home and personal care, beverage, industry, you name. So they have been growing extensively. And as you know, as soon as the standard material reach a certain scale, there is a need to always find this right equation balance between performance and cost. And this lead to some change. Aside, the request from the market in terms of technical requirement for pharma have increased. We were speaking about it, smaller diameter, more plastic, need to resist to different type of temperature, low and high, such as the level of compliance. We have more and more regulations and you need more documentation. All that is pushing to getting stricter change management process. So don't get me wrong, standard material are good material. They have technical requirements, but perhaps not down to the tiny small diameter. They have supporting documentation. We have rich compliance, we have food compliance that we are giving on our standard material. And we have also a change management process. We are ISO certified. But here, typically, we will be speaking about a 3 months notification. Whereas over years, we have seen, and the industry, the pharma industry has been telling us, I need more time if a change comes. That's why Avery Dennison comes with a set of commitments for pharma-specific material. First, we give a guarantee in terms of the availability of the pharma adhesives over years. If you qualify it today, again, providing that it is a pharma spec, you will still get it in 10 years. Obviously, we cannot commit that in 10 years it will be exactly the same. That's why if we make a change, we will notify you 12 months in advance. And to be clear, we will be notifying your supplier, the label converter. And give you an example, we will be making the homework. So basically, we will come to you and first to the converter with validation, with report based on all the homework we did in the market, but also in the R&D in terms of validation. So give you an example, Rich is asking us to make an adaptation on the chemistry of our adhesive. We make the homework, we come to the label converters, we notify them and saying, okay, you have 12 months to discuss with your customer, so the big pharma, to understand, are we speaking about a minor change? Are we speaking about a severe change that needs some requalification? During this lapse of time, we keep supplying the current product as such without making any change. And after 12 months, we expect you to move. And if for whatsoever reason you cannot, we will still offer you a last buy option. Okay. And we bring all the documentation in terms of business continuity plan, risk assessment, validation report, and all the compliance certification that will be coming in a few seconds. So in terms of what you need a tested, proven, compliant label material for the pharmaceutical industry. So what we mean by such compliance, I was briefly speaking about it. We have people, specialists dedicated to that. No, they are only working on compliance, supporting all the requests for the pharma industry. They can also make personalized statement. A few things there are, I would say, the standard things around REACH, food regulation, and you name. And then we have also obviously specific norms when it comes to pharma around cytotoxicology, like the 10993, migration, like the ISO 3826, and much more. And on the pharma dedicated products, we are managing all those compliance documentation that we can customize to your need. Aside, in terms of testing, as I said, when we will have to conduct a change, we do some homework. This homework is done typically in the lab with our R&D team. By the way, we also have technical field support in the countries that are helping our customers, the label converter, but also together with the label converter, they can come to you and help for any challenge you may be facing in the application line. In terms of test, we use the standard of the industry, FINAT. We are speaking about it in the introduction. They come up with their standard to assess performance, like peel adhesion, like Quistic. So this is something that we are doing. But also, Avery Dennison, over years, have developed specific application-based test method for pharma. And we are now today capable to build a certified lab. We are not yet ISO 17025 certified, but we are in the process to be able to run tests for you. So we speak about only pharma specific tests, the one from FINAT, some other ISO norms, including those tests that Avery Dennison has adapted specifically, like mandrel performance, the ability to stay on a small diameter. You have a few standards out there, but we have seen that they were not strict enough for some pharma application, and we had adapted them. So this is something we can do for the brand owner and help them accelerating the qualification of a material. We can also do some extractables. So we are really equipped with the right people and equipment to support you in that respect. Eva, a few questions?
Quite some questions here. So let's start with the first one. Do you have studies with compatibility between label and glass, plastic on syringes, and vials in various temperatures? So yes, we do several testing at different temperatures, also with the diameter down to 7 millimeters. We are using also different aging programs, also different temperatures, also humidity. So we do those testing. Usually we are also using the FINAT testing methods. However, we are adjusting them to specifically fulfill the needs and the requirements of the pharmaceutical industry. Now, the next one, do we get a change management for every pharma product? So yes, change management is available for pharma products, and usually it is 1 year notice. So that's what Benoit mentioned. We do a certificate also for the compliance, customized test report, change notifications, and of course we also assess the technical storyline, the validation report. Also, we have our processes and standards for all change projects, with the stage gate process, with material testing. And of course, we have a cross-functional team to really ensure that we are looking to the change from multiple angles and its impact. Next one is, and the last one is, how do you support customers with tamper evidence seal application challenges with adhesive choice for best initial tech, curing time, and cold storage stability? So this is what I just mentioned. We do make, usually we are testing on the boxes that are sent to us by the brand owners accordingly to their needs. So of course we are testing in low temperatures if it's needed, and also with the specific die cuts that they are planning to implement. Benoit, something to add here?
Yes, so first, I'm extremely happy to see so many questions on that topic. Yeah, just to come back to this key question. Clearly, as soon as we have a pharma spec, we offer all what you have heard about here. So obviously, we need to make sure that you have a good understanding of what is classified by Avery Dennison as pharma dedicated. But as soon as you pick up a pharma dedicated product from Avery Dennison, you get all what we have just been speaking about. Okay. So I will be moving to the last part
on the
of the
RFID
presentation. Basically, question about what's next. RFID. So RFID has been around already for years, but to be clear, not that much yet in the pharmaceutical industry. Clearly, RFID will be enabling a new level of safety for the patient. First, in terms of the brand protection, to make sure that he has in hands a genuine drugs, and you can already do that to some extent with auto injectors, for instance. If you bring a cartridge, pre-filled syringe in it, if that primary packaging has an RFID tag, he will be able to speak with the auto injector, and he will be able to get recognized, because with RFID, you can give a digital identity to any object. So this is the first, let's say, advantage. And obviously, thanks to that, you can manage expiration date in a more systematical way. So this will be a benefit for the patient. Another examples where it starts to be used, diagnostics, all the systems that run tests for patients. You have typically to get some reagents in the machine. They come as a cartridge. Will be the same. You have an RFID tag on the cartridge. When you plug that in the machine, they speak to each other, they recognize to each other. They can even set automatically the machine to the right settings for the right test, and you minimize any risk of error. Another one, the link between patient and samples. As we speak in UK with NHS, we are running a project to help NHS to better track each single sampling of tissue that they have shipping between their sites. So with RFID, you know where your samples are, and at any time, you can always link that properly to the patient. And here we speak about massive volume that is now feasible because the cost of RFID has significantly reduced over time thanks to the adoption in the retail industry. We speak about billions of tags in that retail industry, and scale has been helping to make that more affordable. Patient compliance, we spoke about it. We get more and more questions about connected packaging. Label can contribute to make the packaging connected. And here you have the interaction with the consumer, patient, thanks to NFC, for instance, to be able to give more details how to properly take the medicine. Supply chain management, obviously, this is where RFID first was born, so I will not spend too much time. And yeah, interesting hospitals, hospital management, asset management. Think about beds. Sometimes in hospitals, they are spending hours to find beds. If you have an RFID tag on the bed, it's quite easy to find. So all that together is explaining why we're expecting a significant growth in the RFID adoptions back to the pharmaceutical industry for the coming years. You see almost 10% is what we expect. So now I'm going to give you an examples, recent examples of what Avery Dennison is currently doing to help for the COVID-19 pandemic. We have developed a solution that combines blockchain for data protection with an RFID NFC tag. So it's an end-to-end solution for both providing the authenticity of the COVID-19 test kit and then securely, fastly recording and reporting the test result to the hospital or healthcare organization. So if we go on the right-hand side, to be more specific, here you have the supplier of the test kit who has adopted or NFC tag. Patient or nurse will first tap this test kit to make sure that it's a genuine, recognized. Then the application will allow the patient or the nurse to enter the results of the test. All information will be uploaded to the cloud of the hospital. The doctor and the people assisting will be able to get back to the patient with precise information depending the result content. And at the hospital level, it's very fast for them to aggregate all information at any time and to take conclusion, to draw conclusions and to react accordingly. So this system is already live. We have already some applications in North America. It has been validated by the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act for data privacy in the US. And in Europe, we are currently in the process to get GDPR. Germany is already there. There is still a few other things to solve for the rest of Europe. Any questions, Eva, on the RFID part?
But we had a nice questions coming from Louise in the chat. So as a worldwide company, have you considered how to handle regulatory requirements for reach outside of the EU? Do labels you produce outside of the EU also live up to reach? So I already answered this in the chat, but just to ensure everyone, all our products across different regions are REACH compliant. There is no issue to get a REACH compliant certification from China or from the US. So we do also have a global compliance department that is working and controlling REACH certifications and also several other aspects of compliance for our products. And it's also to build up on this for any other certification. You can always feel free to reach to us and ask, or also via your label maker. Joining. So
thank you, Eva. So perhaps before handing over to you for the final conclusion, I just want to make sure that the key takeaway of today has been well received. You know, the key message that for a true pharmaceutical application, you need a dedicated pharma labeling material. So I hand over to you, Eva, for the conclusion.
Our next webinar will take place on June 25th, and we will discuss pharmaceutical adhesives and face materials. So depending on your application, whatever, if it's a prefilled syringe or security seal on a cardboard box, what are really the considerations and the possibilities to account for? Now, as already indicated, other topics will be also covered during this year. Security and brand protection, sustainability in pharma, also intelligent labels. We will be taking a deeper dive into those topics in the course of 2020. Now, last but not least, finally, the pharma team. So I encourage you to connect with our team. Also via email, or feel free to connect with us via LinkedIn. We have Gabriela Gregor, who is the Senior Product Manager for Pharmaceutical and Healthcare. Your speaker for today was Benoit Jor, the Senior Business Development Manager for Healthcare. Of course, leading our pharma R&D team is Jos van Noort, Principal Scientist, also for Global Innovation for Pharma. Myself as the moderator, Product Manager for Pharmaceutical and Healthcare. And of course, we have also John van Broeghem. He is the Product Regulatory Compliance Specialist for Pharmaceutical and Healthcare. Finally, yes, as I already mentioned, to conclude, you will receive a recording from today's session via email. Also, within the next 48 hours, you will receive the slides. Big apology for any technical issues that we had. We hope that we will masterize the webinars during this year. And of course, thank you for your attention. I hope to see you in June during our next session.
Yeah, thank you again for your interest, and indeed, speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.